Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another Scale Riders podcast episode. We are at number 198. I am your host, 65 Lokes, covering model car culture from around the world. Excited for this one because we have our guest here on live on the stream, all the way from the UK, Kit Builder Chris. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, good, man. Good. I'm happy that we finally found some time to be able to get together because there's a huge time difference between where we're at. What part of the UK are you located in?
In the East Midlands, so it's not like as big as like you would say like London or Manchester or anything like that. It's just over the East Midlands. It's more of a rural sort of countryside area, a bit more. There's a few built up areas, big cities and stuff, but nothing major like London about.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And in your area, do you know is there other model builders or as far as like the community goes out there?
I'll be honest, where I am, it's a lot of aviation, military, tanks, things like that, trains especially, the HO00 scale, small things like that. I think it falls down to the country. There's quite a lot of older builders that with RAF being quite popular and common, especially in the local areas. There's quite a lot of RAF bases, so there is quite a lot of planes, and things like that. Things from World War II. Unfortunately, where I am in the city, there's only one model shop, and when you go in there for cars, there's not many cars because the customers, they're not really interested in cars. They're interested in your tanks, your planes, your boats, your things like that. So it's a shame. I have to do a lot of my buying online. If I was to get any, decent car kits, there's a fair few online stores, but sometimes it's just nice to go into a shop to have a look. There is some good model car shops. They're just not very close to me, unfortunately.
Dang, yeah. So you gotta like order online is the best thing, unless if you travel, you make that trip out of your city. Yeah, I've noticed too, like like where I live, everyone's into cars, like kind of has like the access to that. But then once you start heading, I've been to shows where it kind of changes, where it's a little bit more like people are big on the military side of things, the aircraft stuff. You see a lot of that. And I haven't, I haven't like dove into that. I do appreciate it and everything when I see it, but who knows, man? Maybe as I get older or something, it's something I might want to explore. But I guess right now, everything that catches my attention is like the speed, colors, and
of course, yeah.
And like the car is just like with what's coming out, So I wanted to bring up, because I noticed on one of your recent posts, you were doing something different, because I know you do build a lot of cars, but you recently painted a 3D. It's like a Black Knight bust. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Monty Python. It's very old slapstick humor, and it's just something I grew up with. Quite enjoy. It's quite common and quite popular. But a fellow builder who's got is it a PLA 3D printer? So it's not your resin one, it's the other one. I think it's PLA. And he sent me this, the Black Knight from Monty Python's Holy Grail, the film. And I obviously at the minute I'm currently painting up the Levin AE86. And I thought, while the 2K clear is curing, I thought I'd have a play with the airbrush and paint up this bust as something different. And do you know what? I actually really enjoyed it, and this is it there. And it's just nice just to try something different. I even because in the film, the actual character, the Black Knight, as you can see, loses all his limbs. Is in the woods. So I tried to get a woods sort of forest style base onto it by adding a bit of dried soil and compost, and then a couple of leaves, just to give it a bit more realism. But all that was painted in the space of several hours in one afternoon. So it was quick, it was fun, and it's just like I say, it's just different. And it's just nice to try something different from time to time.
Man, that's crazy. So what movie is that based out of?
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Okay, yeah, I have not seen that film. So that dude gets his limbs cut off, and he's just like trying to survive, or he's pretty much just dying out in the forest.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what it is, it's Monty Python is it's very silly, very stupid, very slapstick. It is just, it's just one of it's just the sort of thing you can just sit back, you can just relax, and you can just have a good laugh to. They're just so, and they've got quite a few films, and they did a TV series. But this particular character, the Black Knight, the king is going through the woods, and there's this tiny little ditch with this tiny little like path, and the Black Knight stood there with this massive sword, and he's like, "None shall pass." And the king's like, "I just want to pass. I'm the king." And he's like, "No." And the king chops his arm off, and he's like, "Right, no." And he's still going for it. He chops his other arm off, and he's like, the Black Knight just keeps wanting to fight him, and he gets both his legs chopped off. And if you ever get a chance to sit and watch the Holy Grail, it's just brilliant. And like I say, it's just a fun film where you can just sit back and you just relax and just enjoy it. It's really good.
That's crazy. Yeah, I have to check that out. Right there, that sounds interesting. And so tell us about that Levin, the AE86.
Yeah, do you know what? I was really quite surprised with the actual kit itself. It's for what it is. There's quite a lot of parts. Obviously, it's got like a full engine bay, the chassis work, and I think when I was prepping it all up, before painting, I counted around or just over 100 parts. And it's a really nice kit from Aoshima, and I've built a Levin before, but it was the TRD Levin, so it had the wider body kit, but didn't have an engine. So I picked this one purposely because it had the 4AGE engine in it.
Damn, that's cool.
I've been wanting to try something new, try something different, and try and focus on a different area. I mean, ever since I started 4 years ago, I'll kind of like look at one area of a build, try and focus on that for quite a bit until I feel quite happy and comfortable with it. Then look at the next area of a build. I'm quite happy with painting them. I'm quite happy with polishing them up. And I thought, you know what, I just need to add some more details. So this was the perfect kit to try and have a bit of a practice on adding some more details. The problem is I don't have as many resources as many others, but you just find what you can, and just do what you can. So I mean, I have got some the ignition wire. That's I think it was Scale Production ignition wire, and then the black boot leads, the black boots for the leads was just some black power cable from inside the bathroom light fitting, and that's the black and the red cable I use for the battery as well. So on the battery, the cables are far too big, but it's just adding that bit of detail. It's a start. It's something. It's that step into trying something different.
Yeah, no, dude, that looks dope. I like that. I didn't know that kit came with an engine. How it's shown, because most of the kits, when you open them up, they don't have an engine in there. And I do like the box art on that TRD one that they have out.
Yeah,
that one just looks amazing. And that one doesn't come with an engine, but in this one, it's like this other one doesn't come with the wide body, but we're giving you an engine pretty much.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah, that one, the TRD comes with a wide body, no engine. This one, as you say, there's no wide body, but there is an engine. And the great thing about this car is obviously it's quite famous for the initial D and the Panda, the two-tone black and white. And this particular Levin kit, Aoshima have actually packed a sheet of body masks. So like you normally get your window masks, you get them plus the body masks to mask off the body to do that.
Oh shoot!
And do you know what? I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
A lot of people will try and do their own masking, but they've actually supplied the masking for it, and I think that's a great idea. But for me, I'm not going to do that. I've come up with a bit of a style when I was doing a bit of a mock-up.
Uh-huh.
I put the bumpers onto the body, and I was quite happy with how it is. So it's not going to be the typical two-tone body,
Yeah.
but
Dang,
yeah, it's really cool.
have you ever built any of the Aoshima patrol cars, like their police vehicles?
No, I haven't. I have looked at quite a few of them a few times. What is it? There's the Evo X. I've looked at that,
Mhm.
and obviously the Skyline
The Skylines,
R34.
yeah, those look dope.
Because if you're going to build one, you want to build a fast one as such, won't you? So
Right?
it's,
Yeah. Yeah, because
but
I have some, and I even have the small diecast. They're made by Inno 64,
oh
and
yeah,
I just like looking at them because I have it lined up with my other cars, like little diecast cars, and I just like looking at the R34 Skyline. And I mean, I do see that it's available in an Aoshima kit, and I would really like, that's what attracts me to want to build one. The only thing is, I think about the masking part because there's black and white, but if you look at the front hood, it kind of has like
yeah,
a little like a point, and
yeah.
and I'm thinking like, I mean, I know I could cut some tape and just do it, but what if it's crooked on one side and the other on
Yeah,
that
oh, I know
end?
what you mean.
So I wonder
Yeah.
if there's like a back mask, or I don't know if it comes with that.
Sometimes there's actually there's a Japanese website called if you go on Google and type in hobby search, there's a
Mhm.
website that comes up. I think it's 1999.co.
Oh yeah,
Japan.
that site's dope.
So I go on there. I go on there, and I always look at the car kits to see what's because when you go onto a car kit for like Aoshima and look for the cars,
Yeah,
you see pictures of the box art, you see pictures of the built model, but then you see
yeah,
pictures of the instruction manual, you can see pictures of the decal sheet, you can
yeah.
see
Pretty
pictures of what's
cool.
inside the box. So I always go and have it. So it might be worth having a look on there at some of them patrol cars to see if they do come with masks inside the box.
Yeah, because looking at the car, I feel like that's like a key look. Like you need to have that on there. Because I was thinking, what if I don't do it? What if I just do the straight black and leave the top white and that's it? But then it's gonna look kind of funky on the hood.
Yeah.
I feel like it needs that. I saw they were releasing like an RX-7.
Oh,
Um,
the veil side.
yeah, and I'm like, dang, I don't know, that there's just so much stuff that they have out, and I try to stock all the patrol cars. Like when I see them, and if they're available, I get them. I mean, I don't know, I don't see too many people building them, but I just want to have them like for people if they need them, because you never know.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think I've seen one built actually.
Uh-huh. Yeah, nah, they look cool though. Like I even got some of those high aces too, the vans, and
Oh yeah, they're
the
good.
patrol as well.
Do you know what? I think this year I should have to get hold of a patrol car. I think try and get hold of one of them
Yeah,
and see what I can do. And
dude, they just look cool. They look so cool. So, as far as like the going back to the 11, the engine detail, you know, um, I know you're working with what you have because they're probably, with Aoshima, then there's not much accessories, right? Like available. Compared to like when you look at out here in the States, we have like so many companies selling little wires and all these like different things. Are you wanting to get more and more into like detailing, like engines and interiors?
to a degree, yeah, not like crazy and really extravagant, but I think just little touches of detail here and there. Because sometimes less is more. Nothing against going crazy and really extravagant, because I really appreciate the builders that do put a lot of time and effort in and go all out with these super detailed engine bays. It's phenomenal work, and it's just amazing looking at them. But for me, I'm not at that level yet, and I don't really want to try and reach that level just yet. I just want to add little bits, and then as I'm going along, just try and add an extra bit until I get to a stage where I feel comfortable to maybe try and go for an all-out extravagant build, maybe.
Man, right on. Yeah, I mean it's all like little by little, those when you start hitting those stages.
Yeah,
But I feel like you'll get to that point where you're just gonna later on look at the build and be like, oh man, I went all out on all this
yeah,
stuff. Because even with myself, like there's things that it took me time to kind of learn, and when I look back at each build, there's always something new that I kind of learned on each one. And even once I feel like, all right, I'm happy with the results, I look back at the older ones and it almost makes you want to go back and redo those or fix those. But then again,
Yeah,
I'm like, I'll just leave them, because it's
yeah,
almost like a little story to kind of tell or to remind me of where it's at. Um,
yeah.
I was gonna mention while we're here, I'm looking at the chat room for the on YouTube, and Armando Flores is on. He asks, any lowriders. Have you ever considered building any lowriders?
I have, and I'd like to. I'd love to. I love the way they look, the
Mhm.
paint jobs. They get some really nice, classy looking ones. But in the UK, like the AMT kits, the MPC kits, the things like that, really expensive, really
Yeah.
expensive. And I'd want to be at a level where I'd feel quite comfortable to spend, that, the big tag. You're looking maybe 40, maybe £50. Some of the kits that have caught my eye. Yeah, whereas the Tamiya, the Aoshima kits, that you're looking at 25, £30. But yeah, lowriders, they've been on my radar, absolutely.
Mm.
But that's more of a when I feel ready to spend that much. And I think with a lowrider, it'd have to be the paint job, especially, have to be so crisp and so fine. And I'm happy with my paint jobs at the minute, but I maybe want to try that next level paint job. Maybe even 2 or 3 tone paint jobs. Now I've got the airbrush going. I've got an airbrush going. My next build, once I've finished the Levin, it's going to be a Hakosuka GTR,
Oh, dope.
and I'm gonna try and do a 2 tone paint job for that. Just a simple one,
Hmm.
but I want to take that step into a 2 tone paint job.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, lowriders definitely in the future for sure.
that's dope. The Hakuzaku, are you gonna be doing the Liberty Walk kit version or the one without the wide body version?
It's the Aoshima one. It's the one
Mhm.
with the blue Liberty Walk Hakosuka. It's like a bluey
Okay.
purple on the
Oh, yeah,
box.
yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the one. Okay.
Um, I've built one before.
Hmm.
I've actually got it in front of me actually somewhere. Yeah, I built one before. It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's quite a simple kit, basic kit, but I really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
My boy is 6 now, and he's mad on Hot Wheels. And one of my favourite Hot Wheels of his was a Hakosuka GTR, but it had like this not carbon, a camouflage uh, body pattern, not a full body pattern, but just like camouflage striping. So I thought I want to try and replicate that 164 Hot Wheels into a 124. So I used for the camouflage some black carbon fiber and some clear carbon fiber to try and recreate that Hot Wheels. I haven't got the Hot Wheels to hand, but that is. So I don't know how well you can see the carbon, but that's black carbon, clear carbon to try and replicate what was on the Hot Wheels. I also actually, because on the back you've got the rectangle rear lights, and a part of it is a bit of a triangular area. I cut it all out, filled it in with some milliput, drilled some holes, and actually filled the holes with Lego.
Mm. That looks dope.
So I quite like that the Bozosoku, the Kaido racer scene sort of thing. Quite how I like how them cars look. Um, and when I filled the back of the Hakosuka out, I thought, what can I use? And my son's Lego was on the floor, and I saw these 2 round red Lego discs, and I thought they would look great as some rare lights.
Hmm.
So yeah, I grabbed the red Lego, stuck them in, and it worked fine. Yeah.
Man, that was
Um,
like the final puzzle piece that you needed. It was like and it has a connection, the story with your son right there.
yeah,
And damn,
yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty dope. Yeah, that kit, I actually had built that kit earlier, well, last year in the like towards the beginning. And I mean, dude, it was like one of my first like GTR Hakuzuka kits, and I loved it. I
yeah,
was like, I would love to build like another one. There are some when I look at the one that I did, there's some like items in there that I wish I would have shaved off, like certain emblems or certain side markers on the car just to make it a
Yeah.
little more smoother. But other than that, I mean, it was a overall fun build, and I wouldn't mind revisiting and redoing another one of that
I know
one.
what you mean about the side emblems and markers and stuff.
Hmm.
I think did I left the front indicators on this one, but like the GTR emblems and the Skyline emblems down the sides, shaved them all off. And I've actually done that again, ready for the next one. Shaved all the sides off because I wanted a nice, smooth, clean look.
Yeah.
It's just one of those kits. It's not overcomplicated.
Hmm.
It's there's enough detail where the detail needs to be, and it's just a fun build. Fun build.
Yeah.
Like I said, the detail, the front where it comes with the external oil cooler, the piping. It's the details there where it needs to be, and I think that's why it makes it such a nice, enjoyable kit, and it's not too stressful.
Yeah, that's pretty nice right there. Yeah, that's one definitely. If anybody out there wants to build one of those, that's the one right there. I would recommend to get into. As far as like building, like for you, like tell us about your history, model building. Like how was it introduced to you, and at what age did you get into it?
I actually got into it 4 years ago. It was 4 years ago. At the time, I was quite heavily addicted to a video game on the PlayStation, FIFA Soccer. And I didn't agree, I didn't, admit it at the time, but I was heavily addicted to it. And, I look back now and I can openly say I was heavily addicted to this FIFA game. I worked Monday to Friday, but I'd get home from work and I'd get through the door before I've even taken my jacket off and taken my shoes off. I've turned the PlayStation on to load FIFA up. Friday nights, Saturday nights, I'd be up until 3 or 4 in the morning. And it just wasn't pleasant. I was putting all my time into it. I was, neglecting my fiance at the time, who's now my wife, and my son. I was neglecting them because I was in this bubble of, it was all about FIFA. And it got to, I think it was a few weeks before Christmas, 2018, and the wife, she says, FIFA needs to go, or me and the boy are going. And it's at that point I was like, oh damn, I need to sort myself out, And then I get 2 weeks off at Christmas from my job. So on my last day, I actually went to a hobby shop to get her a few bits for herself, because at the time she enjoyed baking cakes and whatnot. And there's a local hobby shop that does a lot of equipment for baking cakes and this and that and everything else. And they had some Airfix starter kits, and there was one on offer, a little car. And I thought, you know what, I'll pick it up just while I've got 2 weeks off to give me something to do. Anyway, this little tiny, I think it's like a 143, and it's an old Triumph car. And at the time, I absolutely loved working on this model car. It's the first time I've sat and worked on a model car. I mean, growing up as a child, I saw kits. I saw the planes, I saw the tanks. And I did a plane here or there, but nothing that I got into, because I was always I was always about cars. I grew up working on cars. I grew up loving cars, and training as a car mechanic and all this and that and everything else. But I never knew there was a model car scene. I never knew there was a model car hobby. I just thought it was tanks and planes, because that's all you see where I am. So when I come across this starter set, the 2 weeks off, built it up, loved it, and I was like, I need to get another one. So I got onto Amazon, because I didn't know of any specific model shops. So I got onto Amazon and I got the Italieri Mark II RS 1800 Escort rally car, and I built that, and again I loved it. And then I was like, I need to get some more, and the more I built, I was like, I need to get another one. And I just found, and it's slowly become this new hobby and almost an obsession. And like I said, that was 4 years ago. You know, from being at a point of such discomfort in the house, you know, with the sour atmosphere of me always playing this FIFA and shouting and swearing, and it wasn't nice for anyone. It wasn't nice for the wife. It wasn't nice for my boy, who was, you know, he was 2 at the time. He don't want to be grown up to seeing that. So I could see why my wife, you know, like I said, at the time she was my phone say, so I could see why she said, you know, it needs to go. And you know, since it's gone, you know, things have been obviously so much better. You know, I've got into this hobby, and my boy, he'll, you know, because I do all my work at the kitchen table, and sometimes he'll come in and he'll have a look. And when I finish the car, I'll put it on the shelf in the front room, because I've got like a little display shelf. And he'll always look at them and he'll say how cool they look. And you know, it's just things like that that motivate me more. And you know, like I say, he's 6 now, so soon enough, maybe in the next year, maybe in the next 2, maybe in the next 3 years, I'd like to try and slowly get him into maybe doing his own few cars, maybe get some snap kits, or, you know, some pre-painted kits or something like that, because he likes his cars. Like I say, he loves Hot Wheels. He's got this big chest of he must have 300-400 cars. He must have about 30-40 monster trucks. So the interest is there for the cars. So who knows, if there's one that's just to snap together, you know, and if I just let him do it, he might enjoy it. So yeah, it was a weird way, and it was a sad way to get into the hobby, but it's worked out really nicely. And like I said, that was 4 years ago. And at the time, my best mate, he paints the, you know, like the Warhammer and the things like that, the little figurines.
Yeah.
So he paints all that. So I was only really like showing him. I didn't really have anyone else to show. So I was uploading a lot of pictures onto Reddit. And then I think it was about 2.5 years ago. Yeah, during the first lockdown, it's 2020, the Corona lockdown. He said, you should try Instagram. You should try and put your pictures on there. There's quite a scene, quite a hobby. You know, he said he's seen a few bits here and there.
Mm-hmm. Dang.
But all I knew of Instagram was your celebrities, your influencers, you know, things like that. I didn't think there'd be such a scene. And I joined Instagram, and I was just watching my followers going up and up. And you know, the more followed me, you know, obviously I was following more. And it turned out the model car hobby scene on Instagram was huge. It's massive.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a hell of a community as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it like you came in at a good time. I mean, 2020, you know, obviously, you know, unfortunately there's a lockdown going on, but as far as like sharing what you're creating and be able to connect with other people, you know, people had time. People were just at home and like looking at stuff. So
yeah,
that right there, you know, that timing, you know, you were able to connect with people, and that's a trip, man, dude. Like it's crazy to know that you've only been doing it for 4 years. You know, I feel like you've been doing it longer, because like the skills, like the way the presentation, the way everything looks, it looks amazing, you know.
thanks,
And
dude.
that's cool. I like that, you know, you listen, you know, to your wife. You know, she brought something up to your attention, and you know, it's like anything, you know. I think you know, it's obviously family is very important, you know.
Oh, for sure.
That's our number one priority. And it's cool that, you know, you can say that even like modeling has helped shape everything of that. So this way you have your time for family, and then time to build as well. And then at the end, you always have something to show for, you know, once your project's done. You know, there's a connection. Your son sees that, he appreciates that. And it's going to be nice as he gets older, and you guys, you know, go out to the store, get a kit, and work on something together. That's going to be like something that's going to be very beautiful right there. And you never know, man. You know, it's like those are things like in the future that he'll look back on too. It's like memories, you know, of
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
building and just like
Yeah.
doing things together there. And you know, so 2018, you know, it's just like you're doing all this stuff, and then when 2020, your friends telling you like jump in this, you were just your mind just blew then when you started to see everything that was out there.
Yeah, I was very, I was watching, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos of techniques, such as spray cans. What's the best way to use a spray can? What's the best methods? How many coats, drying times, things like this. So I was watching so many videos on YouTube. But like I said, when I got into Instagram and you start making connections with different builders, and there's just such amount of knowledge about Instagram. And the great thing about the community of model car builders is no one holds it back. Everyone's just so happy to share. Everyone's so happy to help, advise. And it's just been phenomenal. And I think the people on Instagram have helped me, get to the levels I have, sort of thing.
Mhm.
And I get a lot of people asking me for help, but in return, I go asking people for a lot of help myself. It's just such a kind community, and everyone's got time for each other, and there's no beef, shall we say. I've not seen
Yeah.
any like major falling outs or anything
Mhm.
crazy or ridiculous. And I've seen that in other communities and stuff, but this
Yeah.
community, it's just ace. It's just awesome. It's it's like a universal language. Everyone from around the world they want to do one thing: build
Yeah.
and look at model cars.
Yeah, it's like that because I mean, in the past, like you said, you see it in other communities, negativity or beefs and politics, things like that. And I've
Oh
seen it
yeah,
too in model building in the past where I've heard about that. But I feel like a lot of people have come a long way now that that's that's not gonna like get in the way of anything anymore. Everybody basically deals with or has stuff they got going on during the day in their real life with work or whatever, and then this is like their alone time of like, all right, cool, let me focus. This is what makes me unwind and get through the day so I'm good for the next day or two. And I feel like now, everybody is like so down to help each other.
oh for
Everybody
sure.
shows love, shares people's work as well, and because ultimately that's always a nice thing, getting like sharing somebody's work or somebody sharing your work that you're like what the heck, and then you get that response like from people, and I mean now you got so many like high level builders that you communicate with and they're willing to help, they're willing to like tell you how they did that, and that's crazy. That's a good feeling to be able to have access to friends that can just tell you how they did it.
For sure, there's no snobbery. There's no holding anything back. Like you say, there's so many high level builders,
Mhm.
but they're not selfish with their knowledge. They're so happy to help. They're so generous. They want to help others to try and better themselves as well. And
Yeah.
I've been a recipient of this. There's so many builders that have helped me out, and they've sent stuff across, and give me so much help and information and advice. And I've just got massive thanks to anyone and everyone who does help out, not just me, but helps out others. It's end of the day, it's nice to be kind. We all live in a world where outside our four walls, it's just crazy. No matter where in the world you are, the world's just crazy at the minute. So to be inside our four walls, and with this community on Instagram, and it's just nice. It's just a nice, it's a getaway.
Yeah.
It's like last night I was sat watching Bullet 87 and Scale
Mhm.
by Snacks. I just sat there,
Yes.
just chilling, live streaming,
Yeah,
and
I saw
and
that. I tuned in for a little
yeah,
bit. It was pretty cool that they did
yeah,
that.
yeah, that's right. Because I was actually sat watching a film with the wife, and then when she went to bed, I thought I'll have a quick look on my phone, and it
Hmm.
says, "Oh, Bullet and Snacks is live." And I was like, "Oh, I'll jump in," and that's
Yeah.
just cool. It's just things like that's just cool. It's just getting you away from the craziness of the real world. It's just yeah,
Hmm.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, I hope to see that more because I mean, I do see that in other communities where they jump live and they're building and stuff. And I kind of want to see that more, like from people. I feel like I need to get like another camera because I have one for my laptop, but I feel like I need to get another one so I could connect it to what I'm working on. So
Yeah.
this way I could have one like a couple different angles and just be able to showcase. But then again, if I'm doing that to YouTube, cool. But I also want to do it through like Instagram. I got to figure that out
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do it through
It's
that way.
like I wouldn't mind being on like a video, like like a bullet and snacks last night, just chilling, just building, just scribing. But for me, at the minute, like I say, with me, where I build, I'm at the kitchen table, so
Oh
all
yeah,
you can
yeah.
see behind me is just the kitchen.
Mhm.
Like you don't see that while I'm building a car. So
Yeah.
maybe, hopefully, maybe if things work out right
Mhm.
later this year, we'll be able to convert the small spare bedroom into sort of like an office, like a hobby
Okay.
area. So I
Yeah.
can get a desk up there. Now I've got my airbrush. I've actually got a paint booth on the way, and like an extraction booth.
Mhm.
But also like the wife to get her work stuff in there as well. Who knows? If we do get this hobby office room sorted, if
Mhm.
I can get like a dedicated camera or something, I'd be
Yeah.
more obliged to maybe try and get on a few more live videos or
Mhm.
but stream alongs, things like that. Because behind me, you're not going to see a kitchen and people in and out putting the kettle on and things like that. It's just going to be me in
Yeah.
a little room, So, but I'd be up for it. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea, and it is. We're fortunate to live in a day and age where we can do that.
Yeah. It trips me out because like I haven't like Bullet when he's saying he's been kind of just like low key for a while because he's been working and everything and he hasn't been able to build. But what I trip out on him is it's like I haven't seen him in so long. So when I saw him on camera, I was like, oh dope, like that's cool. I haven't seen him. But the thing that trips me out about the kid is that he travels like all over the US. So like I've seen him in California, like he comes out to the shows out here and then he's based out like in Texas. So then I see him, on video or pictures that he's interacting with everybody else that's in Texas that's on Instagram. And I'm like, all right. And then later he's like in Atlanta kicking it with like on the other side of the US, kicking it with the other guys. And I'm like, dude, this kid's like all over the place. Like it's crazy. And that's one of the things I like, is that he's made all these connections with people on Instagram, that model build, and he's able to like go wherever he wants to go and he knows somebody there. So, that's just kind of cool. He's able to connect. I'm sure if he ever went to the UK, he'd probably be hitting you up like, yo, let's meet up, you know?
Yeah, do you know what? It's again, it's making these connections with people.
Mhm.
I was fortunate to actually meet a couple of builders towards the end of last year at the Telford Model Show. It's a big IPMS model show. It's my first big model show. It was my second model show I actually visited, but I actually managed to meet Scale Model Chris and RJ Model Kit Builds, and got to meet Rick and Chris. Sorry, bear me 1 second.
That's cool. That was let me see, because I think I made a note here. Was that the Skill Model World event in November, right?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, yeah. So I actually got to meet him, but we actually met up before the show. So I had to get up at 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I left the house at 4:45. I was on the train by 5:25. But then I got off a few stops before where the event was being hosted. And Rick, he came and picked me up off the train, and then we went to there's like between the train station where he got me and where the show was held, there's like a nice diner in the middle. And we met another builder there, Chris. The three of us, we had breakfast, we had a coffee, and it was just nice to break that ice. And then the three of us spent a few hours together at the show. And do you know what? It was really cool because we spent so long, speaking on here. It didn't feel awkward, if you know what I mean, because
Hmm.
we've already been speaking. We've made that connection. But there is. We have got a group, then there's quite a few of us. And we speak on a daily basis to the point where my wife says you speak to them more than me.
Yeah,
So, but
that's
it's
dope.
everyone in that group. There's
Mhm.
Scotland, Wales, England. We've got one in the Netherlands, and I think there's one from Sweden, and in this little group. You know, we all talk and we all get on, and you know, we converse daily. It's not just about model cars; it's just general chit chat. You know, we all get along, and we all, you know, all help each other. This group's been going. Oh, I don't know. This group's been going for quite a while now. I don't know how long it's been, but it's just been nice, you know, on a daily basis, you know, and then watching each of us grow as we go, sort of thing, you know, with our builds and whatnot. And it's just cool. It is, you know, you are making these connections and, you know, making friends, you know, and it is, yeah, it's just cool. There's no other way to describe it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you know, I feel like having that connection, you know, this was your first show, but then you hanging out with them before the show was pretty dope because you got to interact and do something, you know, else, and then you guys are all going collectively somewhere where you wanted to go to, and then you get to experience that together. You know, some years back, one of the big shows we have out here in California is called the NNL West. That's coming up like this year. There's one coming up in like a couple weeks, but some years back before the pandemic, one of the scale model builders, his name's Alex, and he's based out of Oakland. That's like near San Francisco, and he had organized, you know, it was like a pizza night, like a model pizza night, and I mean, for a lot of us that were there, that was like the first time. So people who were just traveling from different states and different parts of California were coming in on Friday the day before the show. So in the evening, everyone got together. They set up the tables pretty long. They pretty much took over this big like room in the place where the pizza spot, and everybody brought their models and filled up the tables. And by the time I showed up, I couldn't even bring a model in because it was full, dude. It was like super full, but it was all good. You know, I was just there to like say what's up, talk to some people, you know, take photos and just experience and just take it in, you know, for what it was that was there. And I could tell everybody was having a great time. A lot of people got to finally meet. You know, they broke the ice right there. Everything was cool. And, you know, everyone left happy. So the next day was the show. By the time the show was, everybody already kind of knew where everybody was. That was at that thing. So it was really cool for people just to say what's up and interact like with each other the day of the show. And, you know, later I would hear people saying like, damn, the NNL show was cool. I like it, but I had a lot of fun the night before at the pizza thing. You know, like that made the trip for me and this and that. And you go, damn, like that's crazy, you know, but things like that, it's always like a plus to be able to interact, you know, with others and be able to do stuff before or even after, you know, after the show. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've all mentioned about the Scale Model World Show again later this year. You know, we'd all like to do it again, but we'll try and meet more builders, because there was in the group we talking, there was quite a few of us that went, but inside the building it was like aircraft hangars as such, just like 4 empty aircraft hangars, and it was, you know, so it's like a big tin roof, so the signal was, you know, pretty much non-existent on our mobile phones, so it was quite hard to try and get hold of the other builders. So I think, you know, this year we'll try and, now we've seen the lay of the land, you know, the layout and the area, we can try and maybe arrange more with more of the other builders that have to come from afar, you know, and try and meet up at, you know, at a certain place, certain time during or before the big show, because it would be nice to meet, you know, get to meet more builders for sure. But yeah, it was a shame we couldn't meet more builders at the Scale Model World that's just been in November. But like I say, you know, it was hard to try and get hold of someone when you've got no signal to, you know, say whereabouts are you, I'm over here, sort of thing.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's, and then it gets frustrating too after a while. I'm just trying and it doesn't want to connect. And you're like, what the hell? How does it feel, man? Like when you found out that you were gonna be an official Aoshima ambassador?
Oh, that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other word for it but crazy. I can remember seeing their post but towards the beginning of last year, they post like, we're looking for ambassadors. To comment on the post below, whereabouts in the world you're from. So I saw it, and I love building Aoshima kits. They do some of my favorite kind of kits. The Japanese cars, the tuner cars. And I thought, you know what, let's go for it. So I put down, I commented on their post, and then weeks and weeks went by, and you just forget about it. Your life, you're working, and you just forget. And then this one morning, I woke up. We'd not long had the dog, the puppy. And this one morning I woke up for work and I was quite tired because I've been up, a few times in the night with a puppy. And my alarm went off for work, and I picked my phone up, turned the alarm off, and my phone was just full of like notifications. And I'm like, what's going on here? What's happened? And I just swiped it off. And then about 20 minutes later, I was like, right, let's have a look at my phone. And I had messages. I had messages from Kiwi Cam. I had messages from Snacks. And I was like, what's gone off? And I had a message from Aoshima. And I was like, what's this? And I looked into it, and I was just sat there and I was like, what? This is crazy. This message saying, we've picked you to be an ambassador. I was mind blown. It was just phenomenal. And forever grateful for that, for sure.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, because I did see that post like last year, and there was a lot of people on that list, like commenting, blah, 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 and I was like, dang, and it was dope to see, like you guys, like once they announced who was gonna be an ambassador and everything, because it's like you go, oh man, like I know who that is, or I've seen his builds, and as time went on, you do see like damn, like they picked like a dope team, because all you guys are consistent, like building your models and getting them done. And I like how you guys show the box, like this is basically what I'm starting with, and then progression, and then to the final stage from right there. And just having like the builders that are in the US and then outside of the US, like in different places, it's cool, because it's definitely ambassadors from everywhere right there. But you guys got selected. And I noticed, did everybody get one of those recognition? It looked like it almost looks like an award or something. What
yeah, it was completely unexpected. It was I got home from work, and I think the wife had messaged, because we when you're at work and you have a parcel, I don't know what it's like for you guys, but over here, sometimes if a parcel's too big, they might take it back to the depot as such. Mm-hmm. So we had this slip that said, "Oh, we missed a parcel," and I didn't, because I wasn't expecting anything, so I didn't think, it's not for me, it must be yours. Anyway,
yeah.
On one of her days off, she went to the depot and she picked it up, and she come home and she goes, "You got an Aoshima box?" And I was like, "What?" And I got home from work and I was like, "Oh, it looks like the size of a kit." And I picked it up, and the weight, and I was like, "This ain't no kit. This is super heavy." And when I opened it up, and it was this, and I was like, "What's in the box?" And I opened it, and I'm very careful, and I opened it up to see this massive sort of like glass trophy. I'll see if I can get it a bit closer.
Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm trying to hold my words just because I want people to see this. All right, so you got to show us.
So it's quite big, and like I say, it was completely unexpected. So unexpected, and it's just the element of surprise that really got us. And I think Model Car CA Blake, I think he got his first, and I got mine, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't know if Model Car Mods had got his, I didn't know if Snacks had got his, and I was just sat on it, and I was like, I want to tell everyone. And then one day, I got in touch with Snacks, and I was like, "Oh, have you had a parcel come through?" And he was asking, "What is it?" And I was like, I can't tell you. Later that day, he had the parcel turn up. I was like, how ironic, how funny. Unfortunately for him, his had turned up, and the base had all snapped. It all broken off. so the element of surprise was gone, because it was just broken. Bad, in transit, bad post. I don't know, but he got in touch with Aoshima, the person we deal with, and they've got him a new one sent out, and he received it a few days ago now. Model car mod. He put up a post the other week where he's got his 2 boxes with. He opened that, and then the new Liberty Walk Aventador kit as well. Again, that was a surprise. I'll be honest, Aoshima, they've really looked after us. They've every 2 months, you're getting a kit, then you're getting a free kit. It's like I built the Liberty Walk R35 just before the model shows. And I managed to get the Aoshima, the detail up photo set to put on that as well. You can, when you ask for it, you get wheels. They're just phenomenal. They've been amazing. They really have. They've really looked after us, and they've made us feel pretty special. And I'm forever grateful for what they've done, for sure.
Yeah,
These little surprises. I mean, even with that glass trophy, there was 3 little 164 cars in there. So this is one of them.
Oh, those are tight. Yeah, I think that may be one of the chases too.
And then there was 2 boxes. They're like is it like a mystery box?
Yeah, like a blind box.
2 little boxes that you can see what's in the box, but you don't know what's in the box until you open it. This is, I believe, the Bluebird.
Oh, that one's dope. Yeah, that's it.
And then I think it might be a leopard, I think.
Oh, look at that. That looks awesome, dude. I like that. Like a Bozuzoku.
And I love that sort of styling. And we all got some of those. Again, those little 164s came with that glass trophy. Yeah. I just think how nice, how awesome that they've done that for us. It's just amazing.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean they're doing a lot of stuff that other companies are not doing right now. I mean, as far as like if you think about the other car companies, not the car companies, but the model kit companies that do, let's say like Fujimi, Hasegawa, they do great kits, but we don't have that connection with them as far as be able to email or DM and then them be active online and like, what's up? There's really none of that. It seems like very formal, professional, maybe, of just producing products, getting them out to stores, and that's it.
Yeah.
And Aoshima's does a different approach. They're more interacting with their customers. They're interacting, with you guys as the ambassadors, and they are looking at what products need to be created or what is it that people want. It's almost like reinventing to stay relevant with what's going on right now in the model scene. And I mean, as far as kids, if I had to tell them, as far as brands that I sell in my online store, what is it the most I sell of? It's Aoshima.
Yeah, for sure.
There's so many Aoshima kits that get purchased more than any other kit, and I would say Tamiya comes second as far as purchases and stuff like that. It's primarily Aoshima. So for me, it's I love the packaging on the wheels. I love the packaging on the kits. The detail up parts that they offer, all those little things. And I keep whenever they solicit new stuff coming up, I'm already dude, I'm definitely getting that in. No matter what.
Yeah.
Even if it's a kit that I might not even want to build, maybe, or whatever, because it's different. I like that it's different because I go, dude, no one's building this one, or making this one, but someone out there is gonna want to build it because it's different. And I know at some point, you notice everyone kind of builds the same kind of cars. Everyone could build so many Lamborghinis, GTRs, and everything, but at some point there's gonna be a kit that people are kind of sleeping on. No one's really building that one, and it might be kind of odd, but then you do it your style, and that's when everyone's like, yo, what kit is that? Because you added your flair to it, or you customized it. And that's the interesting thing is like having that base like kit where you can freestyle and go off and do something like that, you know. And no, it's such a great company. I mean, I want to go back to Japan to visit, and if I do go back anytime soon, I definitely want to like check out their headquarters. You know,
Oh, for sure.
I would definitely hit them up ahead of time and be like, dude, we gotta link up. Like, I wanna check it out. You know, I gotta make it a day, take a video, whatever. You know, hang out. It would be kind of cool to go.
I did come across a video of where there was outside at the Aoshima building, and then as soon as you walk through the main doors, you've just got cabinets of built models in glass cases, and I was like, "What a place to work! What a place to work!" And there's like one room, and it was just shelves upon shelves of built models of cars and figures and just everything, and it just seems like a great place, you know. And it look, and like you say though, the connection with them and the community, it's you can't ask for more really. I think they're quite active, you know. The real, you know, you get your reposts and your things like that, and they do keep
Yeah,
in touch. You can get hold of them, but like, you know, like you say, look, you know, some of the other brands, and it might be a bit more difficult to connect with them as such, maybe. But
no,
yeah, they are. And the kits, I think, excuse me, the range of kits that they've got, and looking at bringing out, there's such a wide variety. You know, they've got the Lamborghinis, the Paganis. You know, they've got some really nice, you know, sports cars, supercars, hypercars, and then you've got your, like you've previously mentioned, your patrol cars. You've got your, you know, your JDM cars, but you've got like a Skyline, then you've got a top secret Skyline, then an MCR Skyline, then a Mines Skyline. So they've got the base model and then the tuner versions. And I just think they are absolutely nailing everything for everyone.
No, they are. Yeah, it's just so much stuff. I remember when they were sending me these little catalogs, I was looking at them, and I like how they just sectioned everything. And I was like, dude, like this is dope. You know that they're doing all these like things because this is what we want to see. This is what's going to get us excited, you know, looking through like being able to get like a little catalog like that and just to look, you know, through it. And it's always nice when they do the post of what's coming out new, you know,
Yeah.
like every year they're coming out with new models, you know, or they're bringing back something, but they're changing the box art and they're adding something like to it. So it makes it really nice and exciting. One thing I wanted to bring up regarding the Lamborghini, that build, the Liberty Walk Lamborghini, you painted it in a green. Do you have it in front of you?
I don't, but I can go and fetch it.
Okay, yeah,
Back in
bring
one
it
sec.
up. I wanna check that out. Let me see. So while he's getting that, yeah, there's the Liberty Walk Huracan that they had put out, and that one there. I started on it earlier this year, and I was hoping to complete it by the end of this year. But then I started kind of running into some issues at the very end, like anything, you know. Commonly that happens a lot. But with that build, like I had it mocked up where, you know, I had a lot of certain parts glued on and everything, and then the only final components that I needed to do was like add the little rivets, um, put in the glass, right? So then all of a sudden, I'm test fitting the glass, the front glass, and you know, the glass isn't like you put it from the inside; you have to put it from the outside.
Yeah,
So as
yeah.
I'm putting it from the outside, I'm noticing that the glass, like I pop it in and it keeps popping out, and it keeps popping out, and then I have to like press it down, and then I'm staring at it and I'm going like, why does it keep doing that? So then I started to see the areas around the edges, like, all right, I might need a sand here or sand there, but it was still doing it. So then I'm like, oh shoot, I think I know what it is, because I rarely have built models where I have to put it from the outside, always from the
Yeah.
inside, right? So I started looking in the pillars and I noticed like it basically the clear coat that I sprayed on it filled up those areas
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
where
get you.
I'm at the point right now. I did sand down some areas to push it down just a little because I want it to be flush. how it's supposed to be, but it's not happening. So I think what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have to cut the inside part where it receives the glass, those
Yeah.
edges. I'm going to have to just cut that out completely, place the glass in, hold it in with tape so it's kind of smooth on the exterior. And then from the inside, pour in little bits of glue in little areas just to get it settled in. And that's the only way I'm going to be able to go. And that, the reason I'm bringing it up, did you ever have issues with the glass on that build?
Not on this one, but I have been in your situation before. The Nunu, the Peugeot 306 Maxi rally car. I think that for me, that was the first time of having to attach the windows from the exterior, and it really caught me off guard. Especially with using spray cans. Spray cans are just a spray bomb. There's so much paint on there. And I was just struggling. I was like, why are these windows not going on properly? And I just got really frustrated with it. But I think I ended up using a fresh blade, kind of like cutting into the paint in the recesses of the frame and trying to pick the paint out so I could try and get it in a way of sitting in. So it was a bit of a dangerous one, because if you weren't careful with a blade, you'll cut some of the paint that's going to be visible on the pillars as such of the roof and whatnot. But no, with this Huracan, even though it was built with spray cans, I did get on all right. There is a slight gap at the top, but I think that's part of there's like a connector point where I didn't shave it off enough. But I didn't go into as much detail as you with this build, with all the rivets and things like that, because I like to try and keep, especially my ambassador builds, I like to try and keep them as out of box stock as much as possible. As much as it's great seeing, the other guys, they're great. They've done some fantastic things. I mean, like you look at Snacks with his S15, and he put the LS swap in there, and he did that awesome, the drift live on it. And you look at Model Car Mods, and the details, his actual working gear sticks, things like that. I mean, at the minute he's putting the lights and all his TR11, and that's amazing. And I like to do it out of the box, so some builders who won't feel as confident enough, and the way I see it is, if I can show them this is how it is out of the box without going crazy, this is sort of that doable, trying to not put anyone off.
Yeah,
I'd like to try and encourage them to pick it up.
that makes a lot of sense, actually, because like, let's say, it's like you're setting the example. You open the kit, you build it, and let's say you go wild and you customize and you do all this stuff. Someone who wants to build that kit might be already expecting that all the things you added to this car are going to come with the kit.
Yeah.
And there might be some confusement, but just by doing it the way you're doing it, it's pretty true to the kit. Like, this is everything that's on this is what's in the box. I just added my colors and stuff like that, but as far as gluing all the pieces, like, those are all there.
Yeah, it's even like these Liberty Walk kits. I mean, you're working on one yourself. I've even said I think that'd be a kit brilliant for beginners. You've got your water slides in there, you've got your stickers in there. A lot of the parts, they all snap fit sort of thing. Some parts do need a bit of glue, but it's all pretty detailed. I mean, even the finish of the plastic. I think the finish of the plastic straight out of the box. Because sometimes I've spoke to quite a few builders over the past few years where I'm just starting, or I've just started. I don't feel confident painting just yet. Is there any sort of kits you can recommend I can just put together that look nice? Because a lot of the time you open some kits and it's all the plastics all like just one color or two colors. Where the Aoshima with these Liberty Walk Lamborghini kits, the body, you've got all the different colored parts, and I think they're finished to a really good standard. And like I say, with the Huracan, I've said it's a brilliant kit for beginner or experience, and I really enjoyed it. And what I liked about it for me is you can adjust the ride height and the camber of the wheels even after the full assembly. That blew my mind. It blew my mind.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they start, I don't know, making that more accessible to even like other kits, like future kits.
Yeah.
that they want to, like, let's say like the Celsior, like the ones that like that VIP style with the cambered wheels, you know,
Yes.
I hope that somehow they start implementing retooling some of the bottoms just so you could get that cambered look, because I do like that about the Huracan at Liberty Walk, that you could adjust it so easily and just drop it, make it look really low and slammed. And it's just easy the way everything moves. And when I saw that, I was like, dude, this is like new tooling, you know, all that right there looks dope. Show us your Lamborghini. Let me see.
Trying to make sure I'm in the camera square on. So this is, I used the Tamiya TS52. I think you guys call it candy apple green, I think. So in the light, in the green, you get like a golden fleck, yellow fleck. So that's it.
Oh,
So it was a really nice build.
dope. That's dope. You know, on the side doors at the
Yeah.
bottom, there is that big, it looks like a big black, like a decal, a water slide.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, I tried putting mine on and I straight ripped it.
Yeah. What did I think I used?
And
I used a sticker.
okay, that was one of the things. I was so tempted on going for the sticker, but
Yeah.
then I was already like, what made me not use it is just because I was like, all right, well, the car's already pretty dark as is, with the midnight purple. And I was
Yeah,
just,
so you could get away with that. Yeah.
yeah, so I was just like, I'll get away with it. I'll just like not do it. But I did attempt before I cleared the car. I was like, I'm just gonna slide in the decals on here, and I was getting it off the sheet. And then once I got it onto the body, I don't know if you know. I mean, I either forced it or I put too much solution. Something happened, but I ended up tearing it. And then I was like, all right, that's it. It's time to move on to the next.
Yeah, I actually used a mixture of water slides and stickers on this build. I think I even used the stickers for the window trims, the window frames.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've got the water slides all around the body, and then because like I've said already, I kind of want to show that these builds are suitable for everyone and not to be put off, not to be like, oh, that looks too difficult for me. I want them to try and make, oh yeah, this looks pretty good. This is out of the box sort of thing. That's why I went for this one. Using the water slides and the stickers. And it come with them. So why not? It's just makes the build a little bit easier. So
that looks dope, dude. I love that Nissan, the Vertex that you did.
Oh, the pink one just recently.
Yeah, dude. Show us the pink one, man. Tell us about that build.
So it's my second time of building this kit. It looked quite purple. It looks so many different colours and so many different lights. It's unreal. But I mean, for me, this is sort of like the pinnacle of styling for me. It's early 90s. The tuner scene, and I just love this style for sure. Like I said, I built one before, and I tried to do a ridiculous camouflage scheme on it. It was pink, purple, silver. But as far as the kit goes, I really enjoyed it. But trying to do a camouflage paint scheme with spray cans for the first time wasn't easy. And then when I picked it, I was always like, I need to build another one. And then I finally got into building it. And it's actually my second airbrushed body, but my first fully airbrushed finished build, because with 11 I've airbrushed 11 body, but when the Vertex turned up, I put the 11 to one side to build this Vertex for the ambassador program. So although it's my second airbrush, it's my first fully finished. So now I'm back to the 11. So I've learned quite a lot with airbrushing. I had a lot of issues for a few weeks, but fortunately enough, there was quite a few guys on hand, on Instagram, who put up with me moaning or oh, why is it not doing this? Why is it not doing that? Why is it not working? What am I doing wrong? They were so helpful. there was Suited Mando, Glue Sniff Garage, Scale Model Chris, RJ Model Kit builds, you know, snacks. There's been a few, and you know, they've have you tried this, try that, do this, do that, you know, and they was on hand to help me. And you know, without their help, I would have been just stuck. It turns out it was my fault for it not working all along. You know, maybe I didn't tighten this up enough, or I didn't push the needle in far enough and tightened it up enough. It was just things that I was making the mistakes on. It wasn't working. And once I got all this help and advice, and you know, there was like, you know, make sure you do this, you clean this, try this, do that, and you know, not just getting me through the problems, but also getting me going, helping me use it, helping me, you know, like methods. Don't do too much of this. These are the thinning ratios for that, and yeah, so much help. And without them, you know, I wouldn't have been as. I don't think I would have come along as, you know, as quick as what I have done. I feel like with just these 2 builds in such a short time, I've come up in leaps and bounds because I've had so much help. And again, this is a point that, you know, we said earlier about this community. Everyone's just so friendly and helpful with all this advice. You know, I can't thank them enough for all the help. And you know, anyone else that's, you know, it's, you know, across the time has offered help and advice and got me through stuff. You know, I can thank everyone. You know, obviously we ain't got all day to thank everyone, but if anyone who's listening who's helping advice, you know, I thank everyone for sure.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad that you went from that transition from the cans to airbrushing, but you stuck to it. At least now you have access to both, you know. You'll always have, you know that you have it like in your back pocket to pull out anytime, like to rattle can and spray the models and everything. But then, you know that by airbrushing, you're pushing yourself, wanting to learn and wanting to like go in that direction. And obviously there's more control and there's a lot of benefits that come from it. But
it's blown my mind. As airbrushing, from the tiny amount of paint you use to the amount of detail you've still got after. Because if you're not careful, sometimes with rattle cans, you can lose detail, especially on interior parts or chassis parts. You know, sometimes you can lose body detail if you're not careful.
Yeah.
It's airbrushing. You know, you can lay 3 or 4, maybe 5 coats on, and you've still got a great amount of detail. And it's just, yeah, airbrushing. For me, yeah, absolutely. I wish I'd done it sooner. Wish I picked it up sooner.
Yeah, but it's all timing, you know. Even when you run into issues, like it's fine. Sometimes you have to welcome those issues to happen, because we all go through it, and then you figure out, you kind of dial it in, like, all right, cool, I know what I need to do for the next one. I like watching YouTube videos where I see the model builder like spraying everything, you know, airbrushing the primer and every little stage, and I like seeing that. And I know they're taking their time. I wish I had that kind of time to like airbrush everything. I kind of do a combination of both, where I rattle can the primer onto the body, onto the chassis and all the.
Okay, yeah.
Using the Tamiya just because it's like fast for me, and I know that it lays out pretty thin, and I'm not gonna lose any of that detail with the primer. When it comes to the paint, then that's when I go over to splash and I start airbrushing the fresh paint and the clear. So there's like a combination of both that I use right there. But I don't know, like I really enjoy it. I really like the combination of using the both right there. But I did want to bring up something that I have met people where they tried airbrushing, but based on like the issues they were having with airbrushing and not being able to like execute what they wanted, they just gave up completely. Like,
okay, yeah.
And even if somebody was like, yo, I'll teach you, it was almost still like the motivation wasn't there anymore for it, you know. And it sucks because some people just choose not to do it like at all. But I'm glad that you're still pushing right through it and doing it out there. So that's pretty dope. What kind of paints are you generally using for airbrush application?
So far, I've only really used just a couple. I did buy a big batch of paints, primers, and whatnot from Fire Scale Modeler Paints. They're Portugal based. And I
Nice.
got them through the D Model Kits shop, which is also Portugal based. And scale model Chris, who I talked to, he was using a lot of their paints. You know, they come pre-thinned, and I thought I'd give them a try. Obviously, in the UK, we have zero paints. A few of the guys have used them, but I've heard of some horror stories of it. Crazy
Okay.
hazing, 'cause it's too hot, this and that. And what I did is, before I made a purchase of any paints for my airbrush, I was
Mhm.
looking at all the recommendations and seeing who had like any negatives. You know, and I'm not saying everyone had a negative with zero paints, but if someone had a negative, I'd be like, oh, I'd be wary of that, be cautious.
Yeah.
But Chris, he was using these fire scale modeler paints, and I can't really recall any issues at all. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try. So I went out and I just bought a box load of paints. So these, the Levin and the Vertex is all fire scale primer, the colour, and the clear varnish, clear gloss. I've also been using some of the, you know, like the Tamiya acrylics in the pot.
Hmm.
You've been using them, you know, thinned down for like the interior, like, you know, like a flat red or a flat blue for the racing seats, and, you know, your semi-gloss blacks, things like that. I've just recently picked up some Tamiya lacquer paints as well in the pots.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah.
I use Mr. Hobby's leveling thinners,
Mhm.
mix them in there with their, you know, because I've heard a lot of good things about the Tamiya lacquer paints as well. So yeah, I've been fortunate to have a nice entry into painting regarding paints for the
Yeah.
airbrush. Yeah, the fire scale stuff, it's just been what I do, because I have to paint outside.
Hmm.
It's always cold in the UK. The only thing that stops me if it's raining, but it's always cold because it's, you know, because I have to paint outside.
Hmm.
I always put the little jar, like I did with the spray cans. I put the little jars into a mug of hot water, not boiling, but like hot from the tap. In this, you know, and I just warm the bottles up, and then when it's time, I'll warm them up. You know, give them a good shake, pour them, stick them in the airbrush, go outside and paint. And yeah, they've been so good as a beginner airbrush to use. Um, I hopefully should have some news soon of some new paints coming, but I don't want to say anything just yet. But I will say keep your eyes out for sure. Hopefully, I've got some news coming soon.
Yeah, that's cool. As far as out there, you don't have access to like splash paint. Do you know if anybody sells it out there in Europe?
There
Or
was one
okay.
shop in the UK. There was one shop, but I think they've stopped stocking splash paints. I think because a few of the builders I speak to, they used splash, but they've been struggling to find it or get hold of it now. I think you have to go further afield to try and get splash now.
Nice. Yeah. Damn, dude. I wish you had access like the to even like House of Color paint. That's more of a urethane paint. That's one I would highly would recommend for like if you do like lowrider, like a lowrider build.
Oh yeah, I have seen a lot of lowrider builds with the flake paints and stuff and the
Yeah.
House of Colors. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. Man, it's been so long since I've used House of Color paint. You know, hopefully in the future I can get my hands on it again. I mean, I can get it where who the company that sells it, they're not too far from me, but I just don't really have the correct place to like store it away, you know. But for now, I really like Splash's like 1 ounce little bottles that you could just shake up, ready to use, and they're
Yes.
good to go. You know, those are always pretty neat right there. As far as now we're in 2023. What are your resolutions for model building?
Um, the main thing is to join a local club. So before the Scale Model World Show, there was a local show in my city a few weeks beforehand. I only come across it by chance. So I went to this model show, and it was other side of the city. But in the lead up and the run up to the show, I was, you know, talking to the event organizer as such, or one of them, and he was saying, come along. If you want, there's a judging tables. If you want to bring anything along, bring them along. It's like a pound to enter, each model. I thought, you know what, let's go for it. So I wanted to go along. I wanted to visit my first show, and I thought I'll just take some builds and put them into the public eye. It's all in good putting them in onto Instagram, and everyone sees them and seeing the photos. But sometimes with photographs, you can hide some of the little imperfections. So I just thought, I took three. I took three to this show for judging. But when I was at this show, I got talking to quite a lot of people, especially from the local club, and they was all like, look, we host this club meeting. It's once a month. Come down. Come and join us. Chat. It's not just about model cars. We have a good time. We have good fun. And I haven't managed to get down there yet. Because of life and work or whatever else. But they've actually got a meeting next week that I hope to get down to. So that's my New Year's resolution: is get down to their club and get involved as part of the club, and then visiting more shows. Because it was funny at the club that I've asked me to go down. They're mainly just your planes, tanks, military, things like that. And I saw the main club manager as such. And he bumped into me at the Scale Model World show, and he says, I really wish you was part of our club, because we've got no cars on our stand and we needed some cars to put on our table. So, you need to be part of the club. We need to get some cars on the table as well. So, yeah, that's my main thing, is get part of the club and do more shows, visit more shows, because them shows, seeing everything in person, it's just mind-blowing for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Yeah, I mean, joining a club is definitely going to be something different, but an eye opener, but also something where you're going to feel at home, connecting with people like that. That's pretty dope, man. I like that. And I mean, dang, the year just started. You got projects, ambassador, Aoshima ambassador going on. There's just so much going on, man. That's pretty cool, right there. And as far as have you decided like your builds? Like, I know once you finish that 11, have you decided what's gonna come after? Like, what build you want to approach next?
Yeah, I've started prepping a few up ready to hit with paint. I say once I finish this 11, my next project will be the Hakasuka GTR. But I've got a couple of side projects as well that I want to do for myself as such. When I was at the Scale Model World show, there was one of the vendors there was a Froome Model Centre, it was a shop in the UK, and they stocked SMS paints. And I was looking for all these paints, and some of the paints that they've got. It's like a flip paint, the color changing paints. So I've picked up 2 bottles, and one of them I've got plans for a Nismo R34, and the other one I've got plans for the recently re-released Aoshima HKS R32. So I've just been prepping the HKS R32 body up, because you have to cut the bonnet off so you can attach the HKS bonnet. That Aoshima kit comes with engine detail as well.
Dang.
The RB26.
Do you have in front of you? Do you have the box art to that kit?
Yeah, it's to the side of the laptop.
Okay. If you could show us, 'cause I did see the solicitations for that last year, but I believe it's now starting to arrive. I should be getting that one in pretty soon. Looks like a pretty dope kit right there. I didn't know it comes with an engine. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was quite surprised with that as well. I was really happy with that.
Yeah, let's check it out. Let's see, just describe it to us.
So that's the kit itself. It does have the higher level spoiler, but for me, I'll be using the normal standard R32 GTR spoiler that it comes with. Say I I had to cut the bonnet off because the bonnet was just solid. And I was a bit nervous for that because I'm not very, with scribing and cutting and trimming things, I'm not very confident with. But it came, I can't find it. So yeah, the standard bonnet, but it actually comes with this one. So a HKS bonnet, which is good with this open vent there, because you'll be able to see the RB26 and all the engine. So although that's the bottom of the chassis and it's all solid, you actually get the engine bay. So it's already got part molded at the bottom there, part of the bottom of the engine already molded. So you'll just start to build on top of that. And then obviously that will sit on top of the chassis.
Oh, damn, that looks dope. That's pretty cool.
So yeah, it's pretty, it's all.
I'm all excited looking at it.
It's all in bits at the minute, so I can't really show much. Because I've trimmed everything off the sprue and I've cleaned all the bits up and whatnot.
Okay.
But I can see if I can show you. Where is it? So if you can see that, so that's where you start to build up the engine bay.
Damn, that's cool. That looks interesting. I see that, dude. Hell yeah.
And then there's plenty of parts to it. So I don't know how well you can see that. So there's plenty going on. There's plenty of parts going in, and the strut brace and everything else, and it just fits in. So yeah, I was really, when I opened the box and saw all that, I was like, this is amazing. I like building a lot of Skylines. I think I've built roughly 80 model cars, roughly in the 4 years. And I'd say about 20, maybe 25 of them have been different variations of Skylines, from your Hakasukas to R32s, 3s, 4s, and a couple of Calsonic R30, Skylines. I just like the way the Skylines look, and the kits, both the Tamiya ones and the Aoshima kits. I've built a lot of Aoshima R34 kits, like the Mines, the Top Secret. I've built a lot of the Tamiya R32, 3, 4, GTRs, the Nismos, things like that. So yeah, I've built a lot of Skylines. So yeah, when I got this one, a different type of Skyline, I was looking forward to it because it comes with all the HKS parts, the big HKS muffler, and the bonnet. I am changing the wheels out actually. I've got some. I've actually got Rick. He's actually printing me some Nismo LMGT4 wheels off, 3D printed wheels. So I'll be attaching those. Thank you very much, Rick.
That's cool. What size are the wheels gonna be?
18s.
Okay. Dang. That's gonna look dope. And that one, since you see all that, the engine bay and everything, are you thinking of possibly like maybe hinging, if not hinging, just kind of having the hood open somewhat so you can see inside? Or
if all goes to well, I'll be putting it in a display case with the bonnet off.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like I said, with about 80-ish builds, there's only 8 in display cases. I only save it. I save, for me, it has to be like super special of a build to go into a display case. It has to be, something that I've done differently, something new, something special, or something that's just turned out, and I really, loved it. So I've only got 8 in boxes at the moment. The Vertex, that'll be one going into a display case because it's my first fully finished airbrush build.
Damn,
the Levin, if the Levin all goes well, that'll be going into a display case, but I'll have the bonnet off so you can see all the engine work.
Yeah.
And then hopefully with the HKS Skyline, that'll be a similar situation. If all goes well, that'll be in a display case with the bonnet off so you can see the engine in there as well.
with that HKS Skyline, is there anything you're looking at the body that you want to shave off, like any emblems or like side markers on the body?
Yes, I've actually taken off on the rear end of it. You've got the on the back. You'd have the Nissan. You'd have the GTR logo. So I've shaved them off and sanded that back smooth. But other than that, that's about. Oh, and you get like the GTR emblem on the side of the wings. So I've shaved them off and smoothed them out because with me liking to wet sand and polishing my builds, anything raised that doesn't need to be there, I like to get rid of it. So if it's a badge, if it's an emblem, if it's the Nissan logo or the Nissan font as such, I'll just But to be honest, I like a nice, smoother, clean body anyway. I like them debadged as such.
Yeah. How are the waterside decals on that?
There's not many. To be honest, I've not even opened the bag yet.
Damn, that's dope. Damn, exclusive right there, showing us firsthand.
But then one thing that I really like about the Aoshima kits is pretty much all of them come with the window masks.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's a plus right there.
I hate having to make my own. I'm useless at making my own masks. So it's always a big plus for me when they include the window masks for sure.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, when I was doing like building like Impalas and other like lowrider cars, no one that builds those cars is doing that with painting the exterior of the glass in black. Even in custom cars, it's just straight up just the glass put on there. And it was something that I had to learn later, and that was one of the things why I like being able to build a different style of cars, because you start learning, like, oh, I got to do this, or this is how you do it when it doesn't come with that. And then now it's like, all right, cool. Now, if I ever have to do it, I'm not going to freak out and be like, oh, but I have built some cars where it doesn't have it. And I'm like, oh man, I have to create my own. Like,
yeah,
this is going to be a mission. I could already tell,
Yeah, I've done that many times. I've made a big mess. Sometimes you can get through the build and everything's going brilliantly. The body's come out amazing. It looks great. It's polished up nicely. You've done a great job on the interior. The chassis looks great. And you come to paint the window trims, it just goes a mess. I'm like, oh, seriously?
Yeah. Do you when you do the window trim, are you painting it just using straight black, or are you using the smoke, the color?
I just use a black. It could be flat, semi, or gloss. It's whatever's to hand, really. Just a little Tamiya pot straight out the pot. A lot of the time it's by hand brushing it.
Mm-hmm.
So my first, once I've got the masks on, the first thing is I'll do a very light coat first, just to kind of like seal the edges in.
Yeah.
And then build it up to maybe like 3-4 layers of the black to get a nice solid black. And then just being very careful moving the masks. Sometimes I could do it a bit too soon, so when you're pulling it off, it's still quite sticky and tacky, and it starts stretching, and it stretches and it drops across and I'm like, oh, it's dropped across the window.
Dang, I remember having to adjust one of the stickers that I got with the masks, because when you're placing it on, I was like a little bit too much on one side than the other.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I got to go back in. And I was afraid that the sticker was gonna kind of warp or get kind of weird, because like now I'm pulling it off and I have to restick it back.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any issues though. It worked out, and I was like, all right. So dang, I see Slowly Models is on the chat right here. Let me say what's up to him.
Hey dude.
Dang, that's dope. That's dope. What's up, Casey? Tuning in. Yeah, shout outs to Ryan. I see Ryan. He's based out of Hawaii, but I don't know if he's out in California. He had mentioned that. But yeah, shout outs to you guys and everybody else who's checking us out right here. We got D Factory Rat. Let's see who else. I'm gonna read off some names. RC Master, Cube Jam, So shout outs to you guys. Let me see. Dang, this has almost been a couple hours now. We've been on. That's a trip. That's cool. Um, I'm trying to think of what other models. Did you get the Liberty Walk, the newest Lamborghini?
Yeah, yeah, the new Aventador.
Can
Yeah,
you show us the cover of it?
yeah, sure. Let me go and fetch it.
All right, cool, dude. I'm excited for that kid right there. Just seeing it. Man, it's crazy. Dan, Casey, you are late, man. We're almost gonna finish up. It's hey, what's up, David? Dang, David.
So, for anyone wondering about that Hako
Dang.
Suka was talking about earlier,
Let's see.
that's the kit that I'll be working on next.
Ooh, yes. I love that kit right there.
Brilliant kit.
Are you gonna use the wide body from the Hakuzuka or?
It will be pretty much as it is on this one.
Okay.
So the not massive arches.
Oh yeah.
Just be like that.
Ah, it looks so good.
It just looks absolutely fantastic.
Man, that's crazy. When it comes to time to build that, you gotta tell me the difference between that one and the Huracan.
Yeah, for sure. I've had a look in the box, and it just looks like the Huracan. It just looks so good. See if I can show you some bits. Look at this. It's doing all its bags at the minute, but there's just bags and bags of stuff. Just loads of stuff. The books, I find the instruction books are amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, it's just the imagery, the colour, they're so easy to read and understand. I think they're fantastic. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I've got a few colours in mind, but it's a few builds away just yet.
Man, that's dope. I wonder how long it's gonna take for me to get that kit from my distributor because it just came out. It seems like in Japan, like people are starting to get their hands on it, and
yeah,
you guys already got it, but you guys got it directly from Aoshima. So I'm assuming it might be like 3-4 months out until we get ours out here in the States. But dude, those cars are dope. I don't know. I just like I do want to build the other releases that they're doing, Liberty Walk Lamborghinis. I do want to build those, but that one there, it just looks stunning right there. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with.
I really like the R35 Liberty Walk kits. I really like those.
Yeah.
I'd finished a few months ago the version 2 Type 1. So it's the one with the bronze looking R35 on the box. So I finished that one as part of my ambassador project.
Yeah,
but over a year ago, I built. Yeah, I've got it here. I built the version 2 Type 2, the Advan as well. But this is the version 2 Type 1. So that's the one with the photo etch detailing. So the discs, the supports for the spoiler, and the wing ends, the exhaust tips. I'd also had to cut out some of the molded in grills for the front bumper, so you can, like yourself, attach those detail upset. But I just love, as a kit, I think it goes together well, and I really enjoy it. It looks good, and it's the good thing about that. For anyone who hasn't built the R35 kit, the one thing I like about it is with the arches, as you're well aware, they come separately, so you have to attach them on. But in the booklet, you get an actual size diagram of the body, so it tells you where to cut the body arches to attach the new ones. And I've had a few people ask, what's the best way to do it? And I said the best way to do it is get a bit of masking tape, put it on the page with a pencil, draw the outline, draw the area that you need to cut off, then attach that masking tape to the body, and then use a Dremel to cut it away. And for me, that was the easiest way.
Oh,
But
that's
that's what I like about that as well, is in that book, they give you that template of an actual size template. So you're able to do something as that, make it a bit easier.
yeah, damn, that's tight. Yeah, because I imagine like someone doesn't know or use that, and then they just kind of freestyle it. It might be kind of off on those arches right there. Now it looks dope, man. It looks amazing. I love that photo etch kit, that detail kit, and the adding those photo etch disc breaks like on there. Oh man, I love it. I've only done 2 models with the disc brakes so far. One of them being the EF9 that I'm working on. That's from Nunu Plots and Nunu Hobby Plots. And I ended up going with the Zoom On brake set, and that brake set, aftermarket product, but it also comes with the discs in photo etch. And I was able to like put them on a little Dremel and get a little bit of sandpaper, sand them off, and then put like the black panel line and all that, just to kind of weather it, sort of make it a little bit realistic, I guess. I don't know. I was just trying to do it.
I didn't have a Dremel to do that, because I've seen that technique where you put the etch on a Dremel to then sand it, but I didn't do that technique. I just got a bit of sanding paper around the disc, but the sanding paper got under the disc and bent it upwards, and I was like, oh no.
Damn. Yeah. And like there's other models that I have. It's like the Lamborghini, right? I wish that I had some big enough like photo etch disc that I could just like put on there, because the wheels are huge, and you can see the disc brakes and everything. And I'm just like thinking, damn. So I don't know. I'm gonna see if maybe I could get my hands on some, even if I have to grab it from a different kit or a different aftermarket set, and like put it on there, because I really would love to have that detail like on there, and then also I'm kind of, I haven't even painted the brake pads yet for the brakes. Like I still need to paint those to finish up that model. So I'm kind of debating whether I should go with like an orange kind of color or just a red.
You'd want to go for something that stands out on that Huracan of yours.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was talking to Casey about it. I might go with the red. I don't know. Just so it
even yellow. Something that really, or like a neon, like
right,
like a bright green that really stands out.
Yeah, I didn't even think about yellow, but just something that pops pretty much, because it's gonna have like the dark wheels and everything. But if I could get like some photo etch, because I do have some photo etch brake discs, but they're too small. And I tried putting them on, and I'm like, oh no, these are way too small.
Yeah.
Like the ones that come with the kit, they're plastic, but they look huge. And I need something that's gonna match that, so it gives it the proper like coverage.
I don't know how well you can see them on this one, but yeah, they are. They're pretty big.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was another example with this one. I actually put that silver on the red caliper. That's a sticker. So this is what I mean about that, the Lamborghini build of using the water slides and the stickers.
Yeah, that looks tight right there. Yeah, it's cool that they gave that combination of both. So we're gonna wrap up this episode. Is there any shout outs you want to give out, Chris? Before
just go? A massive thank you to everyone. As I previously said, anyone that's given me help, advice, and just appreciate everyone for everything, really. And it's, for everyone that's, followed my work, and, everyone who, likes my work, I've it's amazing. I don't know what else to say, but thanks, really. And, thank you to you for having me on. I feel quite honored to be a part of this, video pod. The Scale Riders podcast. How awesome is that?
Right on, man. No, thank you, dude. Yeah, thanks for taking the time. I mean, it was great having you on, and I know we'll do another one in the future, dude. I thought we were gonna just do an hour, and look at us, we're almost like 2 hours. So
you know, I didn't even see the time.
Yeah, I know. I just realized I was like, oh, it's gonna be midnight on my end, but you're pretty much starting your day out
Yeah,
with
I bet the
work.
wife's dying to get in to put the kettle on.
No, yeah, yeah, right on, man. Well, hey, it was great, Chris. We'll keep in touch, and we'll share a lot of your work that we see on Instagram. And for those that are listening, we're gonna tag him on the show notes so you guys could, if you're not following him yet, make sure you follow Chris on Instagram as well, and we'll have the link on there so you guys could check out his work. So, everybody,
Oh, and a massive thank you to you as well, by the way. You know, on behalf of the community, because you always posting everyone's work, you reposting everyone's, and it's, so thanks for being, a big pillar of the community as such. Because it's always
oh
great
no,
seeing
dude.
your
Thank you, man.
stories of
Yeah.
everyone's work on your stories, and it's just sometimes I've seen builders on your stories that I haven't been following, so I've been able to see them, follow them, and see more as such. So yeah, thanks for doing what you do, and yeah,
Oh, that's
awesome.
dope, man. I'm happy to hear that right there. Yeah, it's always neat, like you see something, you share it, and I guess that's what I'm hoping to happen, like to trigger like people to like check out, oh damn, I haven't seen his stuff. Let me check it out. So that's pretty dope. Awesome. And so everybody who's in the chat, thanks for joining us. This was episode 198. As we close off, the episode's going to be saved and you'll be able to re-watch it from the beginning here on YouTube. And for the listeners, it'll be up on, pretty much whatever platform that you use for podcasts, iTunes, um, Spotify, it'll be up there. So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, Chris. I hope you have a good day, and we'll keep in touch.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. All the
All right,
best.
man. Yeah. Peace out. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.